What's up there, Silver and Black Nation? Welcome to the Silver and Black Lair Raiders edition. So, if you've seen the show before, usually I do a Silver and Black Lair. I'll do the LA Kings and Las Vegas Raiders together. Starting yesterday, I decided to start splitting them up and doing two shows separately, one for the Kings, one for the Raiders. So, you'll now have moving forward Silver and Black Lair Kings edition and the Silver and Black Lair Raiders edition. The Kings edition will fall on Thursday mornings for the most part, 10 a.m. Eastern time, and the Raiders Silver and Black Lair Raiders edition will fall on Fridays at 10 a.m. for the most part. I can switch that up and try different things, but yeah. So I'm trying something different, seeing how it goes. Speaking of trying something different, I also have a new microphone set up here. So if you can't hear me, like right now, you see my mouth moving. And if you're watching this, you're like, the idiot's mouth is moving, but I can't hear nothing. Let me know. Put a comment out there saying, hey, idiot, I can't hear you. That way I can kind of, mess around here and get it back to where I need it to be. If I sound muffled, terrible, staticky, whatever, shoot a comment out there and let me know. Still working with it, still trying to figure some things out with it. It's not a spaceship or a rocket or anything like that, but it's a little bit different. That's all I'm going to say about that. And one last thing before I get into the Raiders here, you can now viewers that are watching this on X or Twitter, whatever the hell you want to call it, you can now comment. And by doing that, you double click on the video, the live stream, the actual video itself, and a comment section should pop up. I tried doing it yesterday while watching the NFL Weekly show here on Out of the Box Sports Entertainment, and I couldn't get it to work. But other people are, so it does work. I'm just a moron, so that's what it is. That's the only thing I could think of. I don't know what else it could be besides me using my phone, but other people have used their phone and it worked fine for them. So I don't know. I don't know what the issue is. All right. So on today's show, we're going to talk. Raiders made a recent signing. We'll talk about that for a second or two, and then I'm going to go ahead and do a couple mock drafts and give you my thoughts where I think the Raiders should go, where they will go. So with these mock drafts, I'm not Mel Kiper. I'm not one of those gurus or whatever. I have no idea what I'm talking about. I don't watch a whole lot of college football, but I do know what positions I want the Raiders to draft at. So it's kind of a lot of scrolling and looking, well, this guy might fit, and the guys that I pick in my mock, I did a couple mock drafts. They may never get picked by the Raiders. So I don't know. It's just, it's actually, believe it or not, it was a lot of fun actually, scrolling through and checking out a bunch of, different types of players and what their skill sets are, what they may bring to the table. So I thought that was pretty neat. All right. So moving on here, starting to show off, we're going to talk about the Raiders signing former Bears offensive lineman Cody Whitehair. He turns 32 in July. So he's not young, he's not old, he's kind of hedging towards the sunset a little bit here. Where he's not old. You put him out the pasture, but he's starting to get there. He's creeping up. He was a second-round pick in 2016, 56th overall. He played under Luke Getsy, our offensive coordinator, while he was in Chicago. While Luke Getsy was the offensive coordinator with Chicago, he was a 2018 Pro Bowler. So I mean, that's a bonus, right? That's a good thing. But since then, it's been pretty much downhill. He's been fairly inconsistent, and he had some injury issues. But with those injury issues, that's here one day, gone the next type of thing. You could have injury issues, and all of a sudden, you can have 3 or 4 years without any injuries at all. It is what it is. They're not. You're not hexed to be forever injured. I believe anyway. It's not something that's, I'm always getting injured or this guy always gets injured. That's one thing about Michael Penix. People talk about his injury history. He gets injured often. he may not get injured his whole NFL career, but his college career, he had quite a few injuries, a couple ACLs, a shoulder, all that good stuff. So you just don't know. So the whole injury thing, but his quality of play has gone down according to a couple of reports that I read. We have a comment here. I'm going to go ahead and read that off. Eileen checking in. What's up, Eileen? She says it's Friday. It's Bat Friday. Absolutely Bat Friday. Eileen, quick question. How do I sound? Do I sound okay? If I sound, off or whatever, let me know. I can kind of mess with this a little bit and see what I got going on. See if I sound any better or worse, or if I sound okay, that's fine. I know the feedback I got yesterday said I sound like I'm in an empty room, which you get that echo or a reverberation or whatever. I can deal with that. But the first show I did with the new microphone was actually the Bat Cave on Wednesday mornings at 10 a.m. talking New York Mets baseball. And when I listened back to it, I sounded really loud. And after every word, it was kind of like, not staticky, but there was something there at the end of every word. Almost like, when you play something too loud, you get like a weird, it's not a feedback, but like a weird like tremble or a weird like vibration or something like that. So I don't know. I sound there. That's fantastic. That's all I need to hear. I sound fantastic. No problems. Good. Because and also not to get into my troubles here too much, not to drag this show on, but whenever I'd start to show off, since I got this new microphone, I couldn't hear the opening music, which isn't a big deal. I could see the countdown and all that good stuff. But now I threw the old headphones on. I'm like, I hope this doesn't screw the microphone up. But we seem to be A-okay. So all right. So they signed Cody Whitehair. The way it looks, it's a 1-year deal. I think it was $2.5 million, $3 million max, 1.4 mil guaranteed. He played the majority of his snaps at left guard, but also did play some center and right guard. So right now, the way it looks right now, we have Dylan Parham at left guard and nobody at right guard. So I mean, it only makes sense to me that he'd fall into the right guard position. But when you look at that deal, 1 year, $2.5 million, that doesn't scream starter. That screams kind of backup or rotational type guy. Almost like a fill-in. Somebody gets hurt, you toss this guy in. Somebody needs a breather or isn't playing well, you throw him in for a couple series. You let the starter kind of get his head on straight and go from there. So I don't expect Cody Whitehair to be our game one starter, but you never know. You never know. But right now, the way I look at it, he's a nice backup piece. It's not a bad thing to have a veteran that has had success in the NFL. And moving forward to the draft coming up next week, you're going to have some young players in the building, some young offensive linemen. I'd assume we're going to draft some offensive linemen somewhere in some round. So it's good to have guys like that. And right now, it's a nice mix of veterans and younger type players. Colton Miller, a captain on the team. He's been here for a few years now. I look at him as a veteran, a leader on that offensive line. Dylan Parham, very young. He's been here, I think, two seasons now. Andre James, he's been here for a couple years. I kind of look at him as a veteran as he got much better last season as the season went on. And Thayer Mumford, is projected right now to start at right tackle. But again, we'll see what happens at the draft. He could always move into the right guard. He says he prefers to play left tackle. So I don't know, with Colton Miller there at left tackle, kind of your blindside guy. I don't know if I trust Thayer Mumford over there protecting anybody's blind side. Not saying that he's a bad tackle. He's unproven yet. So I think a couple seasons at right tackle would do Thayer Mumford good. Kind of prove himself. All right, let's move him to left tackle. See where Colton Miller's at that time and go from there. So so right now that's what our offensive line looks like. The way it's constructed right now. Colton Miller's left tackle, left guard is Dylan Parham, center's Andre James. Right guard, you'd have to insert Cole Whitehair in there, right? Or Cody Whitehair in there right now, just because there's not really anybody else. And then Thayer Mumford at right tackle. So I was looking up on the old Google, the interwebs, at the Raiders depth chart, the way it sits right now. The way it sits right now, you have Colton Miller, left tackle. They have Jalen McKenzie listed as the left tackle as well. Cody Whitehair, they have listed as left guard. This is at ourlads.com. And they have Ben Brown, also listed as left guard. Andre James, center. Dylan Parham, they have listed as right guard. And Jordan Meredith, they have him also listed as right guard. Right guard, sports stick. Anything less would be uncivilized. Right tackle, they have Thayer Mumford listed, as well as Dalton Wagner. We do have DJ Fluker as well, but I don't know if he's signed to the practice squad or what. But I know last season he was signed to the practice squad, but he's not listed here on the depth chart, which is fine. So that's what our depth looks like at the offensive line. We need to make some moves here through the draft or even still through free agency. And I don't know. I don't think Greg Van Routen has signed anywhere yet. He played decent for the Raiders last season, his first year with the Raiders. But yeah, I could see the Raiders adding at least one or two pieces through the draft for the offensive line, and maybe even still through free agency once teams get to see what after the draft dust kind of settles. Teams see what they have. Sometimes they still release players with bigger contracts to kind of save a little bit of money. You see that all the time. So we'll see what happens. All right. So moving on to my mock drafts, many drafts. I wanted to keep going, but I stopped. I have a couple. Again, like I said, I'm not a professional. I don't know. I know what positions I want the Raiders to draft at, and putting people there. Besides the first round, nobody ever really talks about the rounds after that. Maybe the second round, but third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, you don't hear a whole lot of noise besides that. So it's a lot more difficult putting names in those slots for, like I said, for what position you want them to draft. So real quick before I kick it off with my mock drafts, I'm going to read off The Athletic from theathletic.com. Their mock draft. I was listening to Locked On Raiders. My boy Q. He's actually your boy Q, but he's my boy Q as well. Q does a great job, a great show there with the Locked On Raiders. Not quite as good as mine, but that's a joke. But anyway, he read off the Athletics mock draft for the Raiders, and so I'll read that off to you. The Athletic, you have to, it's one of those paid subscriptions. I'm never going to pay for that. I just don't. That's not for me. I'm not going to pay for subscriptions to things that's I really don't need. I'm not going to if I would pay for a subscription to The Athletic, I guarantee you I'd probably look at it once or twice throughout the whole year. I mean, it's a waste of money for me. But this is what the Athletic had. They had the Raiders going first round, Terrion Arnold, a cornerback from Alabama. They have the Raiders trading back up into the late first round, trading to the 29th pick for the Lions. They give up their second and third round picks to the Lions, and they would draft Michael Penix there at the 29th overall pick. Then the fourth round, they have Braylon Allen, running back. The fifth round, Jamari Thrash, wide receiver. Sixth round, Walter Rouse, offensive tackle. Seventh round, Layden Robinson, offensive guard from Texas A&M. And the seventh round, the Raiders' last pick, Evan Anderson, defensive tackle. So that was the Athletic. That's their mock draft. They know a lot more than I do. So, all right. So my first mock draft, I'll kick this off. I'm not going to have a whole lot of information with a bunch of these guys because it's just a lot of writing and a lot of note taking, and I don't have the time for that. I wrote down some things, but so first round, pick 13, I went easy. Michael Penix. A lot of people are saying Penix is going to drop late first round, second round. You have some people saying that teams are going to jump up to get him. Broncos are looking for a quarterback. Minnesota's looking for quarterbacks. So Who knows? Who knows? I haven't heard a whole lot about Bo Nix. Originally a few months ago, you talk about these quarterbacks. It was Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels, Drake May, Bo Nix, Michael Penix, J.J. McCarthy. Now all of a sudden you have J.J. McCarthy right after what the hell's his name? I forgot. Drake May. Forgot it. I lost it. Now they have J.J. McCarthy after Drake May, and Bo Nix they have after Michael Penix. It's just, I mean, I don't know how, why, or what. It doesn't make sense. After combines are over and pro days and stuff like that, there's nothing going on. But the rankings or the evaluations are still moving guys around. You think it would just steady off, especially talent wise anyway. Interview wise, or there's interviews going on and meetings and stuff. I can see that portion of it moving around, but talent wise, just strictly talent wise, I don't understand why these guys would still move around. So with that being said, I took in this mock draft, Michael Penix, 13. The Raiders do need a quarterback. I do have faith in Aiden O'Connell. I really do. I think he could be a good quarterback with a little bit of time, a little bit of work. It's too bad that Jimmy Garoppolo stunk as much as he did last season and got hurt a couple times. Because if he was able to get a full season behind Jimmy G, just observing, learning, just soaking it all in, I think he'd be much better off coming into this season. People might have a little bit more confidence that he could be a starter. Because you look back, his first couple starts, not great, but as the season went on, as his starts went on, it got much better. Protecting the ball, and then eventually taking chances, taking risks, and putting balls in nice spots. In nice tight windows, and moving the ball downfield instead of being super safe with it. It's good to protect the ball, but sometimes being too safe with it is just as much of a hindrance as an interception is, if that makes any sense. So second round, I have the Raiders taking an offensive tackle. It's another position of need. Tyler Guyton, 6'7", 328-pound offensive tackle from Oklahoma. Third round, I have him taking Nehemiah Pritchett, a 6 foot, 188-pound cornerback out of Auburn. Fourth round, I have him taking Cooper Beebe. It's a lot of fun to say, so what the hell, throw him in there. 6'4", 335-pound interior offensive lineman from Kansas State. So this is a guy that could be a rotational type piece. You can kind of plug him, right guard, left guard, a little bit of tackle. He does have good size. So that's kind of why I picked him up in the fourth round. Just to give the offensive line a little bit more depth. And he's a guy that you can kind of plug and play in a couple different spots, tackle or guard, in my opinion. Like the stuff I was reading on him, I said he was flexible. And so I was kind of looking at that. I'm like, that sounds like a decent piece to have, especially fourth, fifth, sixth rounds. Why not? Fifth round, I have them taking Audric Estime, the running back from Notre Dame. Good running back, over 1,000 yards this past season. Catches the ball a little bit out of the backfield. Reliable. So fifth round, that's a good spot to take a running back. Sixth round, I have them taking Jalen McMillan, a wide receiver out of Washington. If you're going to take Penix, why not take one of his wideouts? So that's why I went there with that. Seventh round, I have them taking Tip Riemann, tight end, 6'5", 271 pounds. He ran the 4.40. He ran a 4.6440. He's out of Illinois. Big guy, good blocker. He can catch a little bit. And with us losing Austin Hooper, we can kind of use that bigger blocking type tight end, which Hooper brought to the table, and let Michael Mayer be that pass catching threat. And our final pick, I had them take Jaden Crumedy, defensive tackle from Mississippi State, 6'2", 323-pound defensive tackle, seventh round. Who the hell knows what you're going to get? So that's my first version mock draft. So if you're watching out there, go ahead, throw a comment. Please like the stream on Facebook, YouTube, X. Share it out. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us on X at Out of the Box Sports or at the Silver and Black Lair. You can see my Twitter handle or X handle there up in the, I guess, depending on how you're looking at the upper right hand corner at SB_Lair_OOTBE. Give us a follow. Like I said, also search up Out of the Box Sports. Give them a follow as well. But yeah, if you're watching this, please comment out, what your picks would be, even if it's just for the first round or second round or trades or whatever you think. Please comment them out. Throw your thoughts out, your opinions. I'm open to anything. I'll throw it, any comment. I'll give you a shout out. Throw your comment up, and we'll go from there. So moving on to my next mock draft. The first one I have the Raiders taking the quarterback. They need a quarterback. So this one here, I have them taking a cornerback. It's not a overly overwhelming position of need, but it still is a position of need. The Raiders are always trying to solidify that defensive backfield with Nate Hobbs and Jack Jones right now is our cornerbacks. Losing Amik Robertson. We need to add a little bit there. We did draft what the hell's his name? We drafted a cornerback last year. I can't think of his name right now. It escapes my mind. I'm going to look it up though because I need to know it now. I can't find it. Where the hell is it? Jacorian Bennett. I'm sorry. Jacorian Bennett. Christ, that was way off from what I was thinking. Anyway, we still could use some cornerback help. We also have Brandon Faison as well. So every little bit helps. And a guy like Terrion Arnold, a good physical cornerback, to put him with Jack Jones and Nate Hobbs would be awesome. The one thing I was reading on Terrion Arnold, kind of like a little bit of a negative, was they said he lacks confidence at times. But in the meeting room with guys like Jack Jones and Nate Hobbs, you can see this guy really gain confidence and pick the game up the right way and kind of be that dog out there. That's one of the things that Q would say on the Locked On Raiders podcast. Be that dog and stuff. But you could see that that's what Nate Hobbs and Jack Jones are. They're out there. That's their yard, and they showed it, especially the second half of the season when AP took over as head coach. When AP brought Jack Jones in, you've seen a totally different secondary after that, and so bring in Terrion Arnold, who can be that guy, who can be that this is my yard kind of guy. Get the hell out of my yard. He can be that guy, and with Jack Jones and Nate Hobbs, I can absolutely see him being a shutdown corner. So then I have the Raiders trading up in the second round. Their second round pick is the 44th pick. I have them trading up to the top of the second round, trading their third and fourth picks, and then taking Bo Nix, quarterback out of Oregon, 6'2", 214 pounds, 4.70 40 time. A 77% completion percentage last season with Oregon, well over 4,000 yards passing, 40 plus, I think it was 48 touchdowns or something like that, and like 6 interceptions, 8 interceptions, crazy numbers like that. It's hard to believe that Bo Nix isn't getting as much chatter as like Michael Penix and stuff. It doesn't make sense to me, but it's stuff I was reading saying that he could be a system quarterback. That's why he's not being looked upon as highly as what Michael Penix is right now. Anyway, so there is a chance that Bo Nix does fall to late first, early second round. If he does fall to the second round, I do see the Raiders possibly moving up to try to get him. Why not? Your second round pick, that'd be perfect. But they'd have to give up, third and fourth. At least that's in my eyes. They'd have to give up their third and fourth round pick, plus, switching with that second round. So in the fifth round, I have them taking offensive tackle Walter Rouse again. That, like I did my first mock draft. Out of Oklahoma, 6'6", 313 pounds, big dude. A lot of great reviews that I've seen on him. So that could be a guy, a late draft guy. That could be a steal. In the sixth round, I have them taking wide receiver Luke McCaffrey. It's the brother of Christian McCaffrey. Super athletic family. Why not take a chance on him? 6'2", 298-pound wide receiver out of Rice. Ran a 4.46 40. This past season, 71 catches, 992 yards, 13 touchdowns. The dude can get it done. And like I said, super athletic family. Who knows? You might get something like a Christian McCaffrey, where almost like kind of opposite. Christian McCaffrey's a running back, but does line up as a wide receiver occasionally. Well, his brother here, Luke McCaffrey, could line up as a wide receiver. Maybe you find his ass back in the backfield too. So you never know. So I thought that was pretty interesting. I got a comment here before I move on to the next round. Paul Spencer, what's up, Paul? He's saying, what's up, Paul? It is Friday. Every day is Friday with the Baffray. Yeah, all right. So in the seventh round, I seen another familiar name. I'm like, why not, right? Seventh round, what the hell's it going to hurt? I took running back Frank Gore Jr., 5'8", 201-pound running back. I ran a 4.5 340. He had back-to-back 1,000-yard seasons. And also, does catch the ball out of the backfield a little bit as well. So there's Frank Gore Jr. And then finally, our last pick in the seventh round, I had him take Hunter Norzad, a guard/center out of Penn State, 6'3", 317 pounds. Versatile, can play left guard, right guard, and like I said, center. So, it's a nice nice depth piece to have. Somebody that can play both sides, left and right, and also a center. So I think he started his career off at Penn State at center and then moved. No, he finished his career at Penn State at center, but played mostly guard before that. So I think that'd be a decent pickup in my eyes. Seventh round, like I said, seventh round. Once you you get to your sixth, seventh, even fifth to a certain point, it's kind of like, what's it gonna hurt? Try this guy. I feel like after the fourth round, there's no more. Well, that's a reach. I just don't feel that way because you don't know. It's basically a crapshoot, and it doesn't hurt to try. All right. So moving on to my final mock draft of the day. Like I said, I was going to do a couple more. Kind of ran out of time with it, and because it is a lot of fun. It's almost like a fantasy football draft, except with college football players, and 95% of them you don't know who the hell they are. So this time, I have the Raiders. My first one taking a quarterback, the second one taking a cornerback. Now this one, I had them taking the offensive tackle. Now the question was, which offensive tackle are they taking? You've heard, Fashanu out of Penn State, Fuaga out of Oregon State. You've heard who was the other lad? Fontenot. I can't remember where he's out of. But there's a couple different guys. You'll be a couple different names. The name I've seen pop up a couple times, which I kind of like, but it makes me nervous because I think of Alex Leatherwood right away, is J.C. Latham. Tackle out of Alabama, big guy, 6'6", 342 pounds. Solid tackle. So, and looking at the projections, looking at the rankings of the offensive tackles, he was ranked as a top 10 or top 20. I think top 20 offensive tackle, where those other guys were ranked as top 25 offensive tackles. I'm like, I don't know. It's kind of put your trust in these guys and these gurus and kind of go off of that. So I had the Raiders getting their offensive tackle there in the first round. So what do they do about quarterback? Do they trade up again, like I just did last last mock draft? Do they just say, the hell with it, we're going to stick with Minshew and Aiden O'Connell? Or do they go later rounds with some of these lesser known type quarterbacks, or quarterbacks that didn't have grades as high as these other blue blood quarterbacks near the top of the draft? So second round, I have him taking Enos Rakestraw, cornerback out of Mizzou, 5'11", 183-pound cornerback. He ran a 4.5 140. From everything I read, solid cornerback, nothing really flashy about him. Just gets the job done. Good tackler. I like that. Somebody that's going to be physical at the line of scrimmage. Definitely need that. So then here's where we get our quarterback. Third round, I have the Raiders taking Spencer Rattler, quarterback out of South Carolina. He's a Gamecock. 6 foot, 211 pounds, ran a 4.6 40. Completion percentages past season, 69%. Threw over 3,100 yards and had 19 touchdowns, 8 interceptions. Nothing too flashy there out of Spencer Rattler. South Carolina, if I remember correctly, wasn't a great team. So, is he a product of who he was around? When he was at Oklahoma, I believe he struggled a little bit there. So it's a bit of a reach. But I think third round is a good spot to take him if you're going to take him. Or even the kid out of Florida State. I was thinking about him. I can't remember his name. But he got hurt last season. He was leading the Seminoles to an undefeated season. He gets hurt, and all of a sudden the Seminoles, can't score a point. I mean, they still won games. They were still undefeated up until bowl season, but they couldn't score for anything. But with him behind, behind center, they're putting points up. Is that somebody you look at later rounds, 4th, 5th, 6th round? He could be there. Who knows? But I have him taking third round Spencer Rattler. In the 4th round, I have him taking Audric Estime again from Notre Dame, Paul Spencer's boy. Last season, 1,300 yards rushing, 18 touchdowns. Can catch the ball out of the backfield. I think he's a good, solid back to add a little bit of depth to our running back room. So that won't hurt at all. 5th round, I have him taking Gabe Hall, defensive tackle out of Baylor, 6'6", 287. Seen his production kind of drop off the last couple seasons. 6 sacks in 21, 4.5 sacks in 22, and only 2 in 23. But where his bread's going to be buttered is being a stopgap in the run department. He's got to be able to play the run and get upfield on the pass downs. So he obviously he'd be a backup, but with his size, his weight's a little bit of a smaller size for a defensive tackle, 287. But that could help. Absolutely, that could help with speed, quickness, and all that stuff. Which is why he had 6 sacks in 21. It reminds you a little bit of Adam Butler, not a bigger type defensive tackle, but can get upfield on the passing downs. So in the 6th round, I have him taking Andrew Coker, offensive tackle out of TCU, 6'6", 315 pounds. Could play left, right tackle. The reviews I was reading on him, could be a good backup to start his career, but as the career moves on, could potentially be a solid starter. So that's not I think that's a good pickup right there. 7th round, I have him taking Mark Perry, safety out of TCU, 6 foot, 215 pounds, ran a 4.5 340. Basically, that they kind of looking at as a depth piece for your defensive backfield at safety, but also a special teams player. Could be potentially a good special teams player by a couple of the reports that I read there. And then finally, last pick, I have them taking Anthony Gold, wide receiver out of Oregon State. 5'8", 174, ran a 4.39 40. That's a Raider guy right there. Ran a great 40. Last season, 718 yards receiving, a couple touchdowns. A good speed guy. Return game, DeAndre Carter, he's not coming back, I don't think. He's a free agent. So, he could be maybe a return specialist or one of those guys like Trey Tucker that can stretch the field. Why not throw a couple of those guys out there and see what you can get? Somebody that could run the ball off the wing, with your reverses or end arounds. It seems like he has a good playmaking ability. Can kind of break a game open a little bit with his speed. Smaller guy too, gets lost. That's always a bonus as well. So those are my mock drafts. And so I didn't. I've talked about this before. I don't see. Obviously, the Raiders want Jaden Daniels. It's obvious to everybody. Everybody knows it. The relationship between Jaden Daniels and Antonio Pierce. Pierce has known him since high school. I think he coached. I think he coached him in high school. Helped recruit him to Arizona State. I think when AP was let go from Arizona State, I think that's when Jaden Daniels transferred out, or vice versa, something like that. But yeah, so they're very familiar with each other. He's known him since he was a little kid. So obviously there's a connection there. Jaden Daniels wants to be a Raider. Raiders want Jaden Daniels. Now, how do they get there? There's no clear path that I can see for them to get in the top two, because from everything you read, he's a top 2 pick. They're not going to get the Bears pick. The Bears aren't going to drop all the way back to 13. They need a quarterback. They're going to take Caleb Williams. That seems to be consensus with everybody. So the Washington Commanders. What are the Commanders going to do? I heard something today saying that the Commanders could possibly look at taking Drake May. And so where does that leave the Patriots? The Patriots at 3. Everybody has Drake May going to them. I heard Patriots, I think it was the Patriots GM today saying, hey, we're open for business for this 3rd pick. We looking to move up, looking to move back, looking to collect picks. We're open for anything. So who knows? If for some reason Washington does take Drake May at 2, the Raiders could absolutely trade up to 3 with New England and get Jaden Daniels. But the issue there is, could they make the deal good enough that the Patriots would go for it? Because you have the Minnesota Vikings, who are also looking for a quarterback. They have 2 first-round picks. They could easily say to the Patriots, here's our 2 first-round picks. So now the Patriots went from having 1 first-round pick to 2 first-round picks. They could still get somebody like a Michael Penix, a Bo Nix, or maybe even a J.J. McCarthy. I'm not 100% sure. I do have it written down where the Minnesota Vikings picks are, but you're going to have to bear with me for a second because I have oodles and oodles of notes to go through to kind of find out where that was at from last week. So give me 1 second here. I had them all written down, all the draft order. So yeah, so right now the Vikings are sitting at 11 and 23. So you could absolutely see them package those 2 picks up and send them to New England. New England could still pick at 11 and still get a Michael Penix or even a Bo Nix. Maybe they covet one of those guys, or even at 23. At 23, both those guys have been projected to go anywhere from 12, 13, all the way to the 2nd round. So who knows? Bo Nix, Michael Penix could easily fall to the Patriots at 23 if they made that trade with the Vikings. And the Patriots could easily get an offensive lineman or a defensive player, defensive tackle, or whatever they need. They do have several holes to fill, at 11 and get their quarterback later on. So it's going to be tough. There's no clear route for the Raiders to get to 3 or 2. I said this last week. So I just have a hard time picturing these 3 teams trading their picks away. But now with the Patriots GM come out and saying we're open for business, that does open a door a little bit. It's open a crack for the Raiders to move up. But again, that doesn't mean a whole lot. And another thing that I heard, I think I might have been on the Locked On Raiders podcast. They were talking about the possibility. I think actually a caller brought it up, a fan. The possibility of Jaden Daniels saying, telling the Commanders saying, hey, don't draft me. I'm not going to play for you. If you do draft me, trade me to the Raiders. I want to be a Raider. You could see that happening. I don't know what Washington would do about that. But the Raiders would have to move up to at least 3, for Washington in order to do something like that. Where if Washington took Jaden Daniels at 2, they trade him to the Raiders at 3, get the Raiders next 2 or 3 years of their first round picks, and plus some other compensation as well. You could see something like that happening, and the Washington Redskins would still get, or the Commanders would still get Drake May at 3 if they wanted him. So, there's that little bit of hope there as well, because I think everybody in Raider Nation wants Jaden Daniels. There's no ands, ifs, or buts about it. So, but getting him is like a basically less than 1% chance, in my opinion. Like I said before, like the whole Dumb and Dumber thing. So what are my chances? She says 1 in a million, and he's like, so you're saying there's a chance? So the doors open a crack. The Patriots put that prop that door open a little bit for the Raiders, but it's still a super, super long shot. And I mentioned before, I could absolutely see the Raiders moving up, maybe to 7, 6, 4, for getting into the mix, maybe for JJ McCarthy. I know a lot of people are not high on JJ McCarthy because he hasn't, in their thoughts, he didn't do anything to prove it last season, while on a march to the national championship. But when the team was down, the dude did make some really big throws. When he had to be big time, he was big time. So, I mean, I don't know what else you want from him. And listen to a couple different analysts talk about him, saying, they had the best, run game in the whole in the country. Why would you throw the ball? Protect JJ McCarthy so you have him when you need him and just run the ball. And that's basically what they did through the Big Ten. So that kind of makes sense there. And now with the Raiders moving back, there is a chance possibly they move back if they think that Penix is going to drop a little bit, and there's somebody that's looking to move up. The Raiders could move back and accumulate a couple more picks throughout the draft. So that's always a possibility. I think I mentioned who did I mention? Was it Seattle? I think I mentioned Seattle as being a possibility. Or no, the Seattle I was looking for a quarterback. Jacksonville, who knows? Maybe Jacksonville wants to move up. New Orleans, the Colts, they have their quarterbacks right now. So you never know. Denver, they're picking right before the Raiders. They need a quarterback. What are they going to do? Are they going to try to move up? Minnesota needs a quarterback. The Jets, where are they at with quarterback? They have Aaron Rodgers coming off Achilles injury. He is 55 years old, so he's not going to be around much longer. Atlanta, what are they doing at quarterback? Giants, are they completely sold on Danny Dimes? A lot of people say no. Do they go quarterback? It's insane right now. And I think a lot of people that do these mock drafts, they have the Bears taking Caleb Williams, they have Jaden Daniels going to Washington, they have Drake May going to the Patriots, and they have, I think, JJ McCarthy going to the Giants. But there's that possibility where the Giants don't go quarterback, they go offensive line or running back, or not running back. That's way too early for running back, or something defensive. So they don't take quarterback. The Titans don't need a quarterback. In Atlanta, I'm not really sure. The Bears at 9, they don't need a quarterback at that point. Does JJ McCarthy start dropping? Well, maybe the Raiders trade up with the Bears. They say, hey, Bears, we'll take your 9 spot. If JJ McCarthy's still there, we'll take your 9 spot. You take our 13 and take this 3rd round pick as well. That's always a possibility. But yeah, I don't see them getting Jaden Daniels. It's a bummer, but if they want Jaden Daniels, they're going to have to wait 5 years and pick him up as a free agent. So it might cost a lot of money then, because from everything you read, he's going to be a good one. And all these experts are saying basically these top 3 guys are pretty much can't miss guys. So if we can get our hands on Drake May, you have to feel good about it. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and read off our sponsors here real quick before I get out of here. Got a little bit of running around to do today. All right. Jason Fine, attorney Big Al. You can reach Big Al at 1-800-HURT-123. That's 1-800-HURT-123. Jason Fine specializes in motor vehicle accidents, slip and fall, workman's comp, and personal injury claims. He has 3 office locations conveniently located throughout Pennsylvania and New Jersey. And in the Garden State of New Jersey, the offices are located in Cherry Hill on 3 Greensward Lane. The phone number there is 856-209-5258. Then in the Steel City of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, where Terry Bradshaw laid his seed. Well, that's kind of weird. The office is located at 500 Grant Street, Suite 2900. The phone number there is 412-365-8151. And in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, the house that Mike Mamula built. The offices are located at 1628 JFK Boulevard, Suite 2120. The phone number there is 267-888-2980. That's Jason Fine, attorney Big Al. Be sure to head on over to monkeycoltcoffee.com and to take care of all your gourmet coffee needs. They have bourbon chocolate chip infused coffee, toasted coconut rum. They have a Sumatran blend, medium roast coffee. They have an organic blend, Perula, Florida, and their newest flavor, golden honey agave. And they're also selling barrel-aged honey at monkeycoltcoffee.com. Be sure to check out their swag shop. They have t-shirts. They have Roderick on all their swag here. Roderick's their coffee drinking monkey. He's a badass, that Roderick. I dig Roderick. I think he's a cool dude. So, yeah, t-shirts, coffee mugs, tumbler cups, the cold brew pitchers, K-cup adapters, and don't forget to get some of that sweet-ass Paradise rum cake at monkeycoltcoffee.com. Be sure to use that promo code at checkout, OOTB Sports, for 10% off your order. That promo code, once again, is OOTB Sports for 10% off your order at monkeycoltcoffee.com. Hashtag join the cult. Good stuff there. And also, Out of the Box Sports, be sure to follow us Facebook, YouTube, X. We're also on Twitch, TikTok, Instagram, all that good stuff. Please follow, subscribe. Please subscribe to the YouTube channel. Click the thumbs up on it. Follow us on X. And like I said, now you can comment on X by double tapping the screen, the video, the live feed. Double tap it, and apparently you can. I was trying it yesterday. I was getting pissed off. I couldn't do it. Technology was starting to get to me. I almost spiked my phone, but whatever. It is what it is. So I think that's all I have for today. I don't think there's anything else. Let me take a quick peek. I got through all my mock drafts. Yep. So that's all I have for today. Be sure to check me out Saturday, 10 p.m. with the Atomic Drop podcast, talking WWE wrestling with Cowboy Dave, the professor of old school wrestling, Eddie Prather, and The Answer, handsome Adam Glenn. He calls himself The Answer, I think, for some reason, which leads me to a lot of questions. So, and I am the Bat Fry. I will also be live next Wednesday morning, 10 a.m., talking New York Mets baseball on the Bat Cave. So be sure to check that out as well. And next Thursday, 10 a.m., I will be live with the Silver and Black Lair, LA Kings edition, talking playoff hockey. Kings will be facing off against the Edmonton Oilers with their absolutely nonsensical win last night against the Blackhawks. Kings up 3-1. The Vegas Golden Knights just lost. Kings are up. All you got to do is coast through the third period there, and easy peasy. They're the 3 seed out of the Pacific, and they'd face the Oilers. Well, all of a sudden the Blackhawks, found their nutsack laying around and started pushing the Kings around and just kept pressing, and they went up 4-3, and it was 4-3 very late in the third period. I remember, I think it was maybe 2.5, 1.5 minutes left, something like that. Yeah, I think it was a little over a minute left. The Kings pulled the goalie. It was 6-on-5. The Blackhawks, I don't remember who it was, flicked the puck over the glass, which is a delay of game penalty. So now it was 6-on-4, and the Kings were able to get that goal in. And then 6 seconds into overtime, Juice, Adrian Kempe, the Kings MVP, was able to put the biscuit in the basket, the old puck in the net. Went top shelf on the goalie and sent the Kings fans home happy and left no doubt. So, well, as soon as they went to overtime, they already passed the Vegas Golden Knights, because then they would have been tied, and the Kings held the tiebreaker with the regulation win. So looking forward to the Stanley Cup. I think it's a better matchup with the Kings versus the Oilers than it would have been with the Kings versus the Stars. So we'll talk about that more next Thursday on the Silver and Black Lair Kings edition. And be sure to tune back in next Friday, 10 a.m. Eastern Time, to the Silver and Black Lair Raiders edition. So that's all I have for today. Thank you, everybody, for commenting that did comment. Thank you to all of our viewers. We're sitting at 65 strong right now. Pretty much is a pretty steady 65 for most of the broadcast. I appreciate that very much. Next time, throw some comments out there. Figure out how to comment on X. Start throwing them out. Let me know your thoughts and opinions on the Raiders or whatever, your team. Even if you're not a Raider fan, you're just watching to watch. Let me know. Jets fans, like Eileen's a Jets fan. Eileen, who are the Jets going to draft? You let me know. So, do they go quarterback? Do they go offensive line? I don't know. Their offensive line was pretty crappy last year. I do know that. So, all right. I'll be seeing everybody tomorrow night, 10 p.m. Don't forget the Atomic Drop podcast. And tune in again next Friday to the Silver and Black Lair Raiders edition. And just win, baby. See you later.